Emerald. Don't know the Emerald Isle. Dark shadows and wind over billows. But the songs have always rung rainbow brightness, sun, all care and smiles. Hills and dales, trills of friend birds, gentle laughter, the buds of jokes. Don't know crags and slopes to notes, just melodies to write all souls. A hope in gulfs I'll be there to croon. Every sphere of my being peace drenched. I like that. And the next one is called Magnolia Spring. This is about Mohammed's garden, which I like as well. My magnolias have arrived, and Forsythia too. The traffic knows not the way I unfold to them. In the morn, I etch them, heart containing, mind focused. They carry a meaning from another time I knew to caress. Flowers and buds of my heart's spring, a splash of blue sky through the chill, a long look midst pinks and yellow, a vow to be forever for sweet dreams. Okay, that's Mohammed. And if I can invite you now, Peter, please, and I'll mute now.
Right, so this is from Joe Sanders, More Than Blossoms. It's actually a prose poem. Geraniums jazzing with colour, pink and purple, or swirls of scarlet, Hollywood lips red to brighten the day. Municipal munificence in hanging baskets on town halls and grand gardens. Symbols of positivity, happiness, friendship and good health, made into oils and potions long before Bach put pen to manuscripts. Perhaps it is true that the Prophet Muhammad's blessing metamorphosed them from weeds to plants to grace any small space. That they now blossom on my 5th floor windowsill is a small miracle, untouched during the 40-degree summer heat, as though unloved, deprived of life-giving water or any care, and then surging back to live in the rain that fell endlessly during the winter weeks. So that's from Joe Sanders.
That's excellent, Peter. All the tricks for a prose poem is, the metaphors and the it's alliteration. It's very, very well done. Jan, are you going to read tonight, or are you listening in?
I have got something that I wrote a long time ago, actually.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So,
well, you're on stage.
You can put that with me.
Certainly will.
I'm not that good with poetry, actually. So
don't worry. We're all trying. We're all on the road somewhere. Okay.
Well, some time ago, I had all this super fibre broadband put in. They came along, knocked on my door, and I had to change everything. So I wrote this after the frustration that I had with them, BT putting in this broadband. So I've called it the BT Blues, actually, or how I learned to hate digital technology. So I wrote, well, I woke up this morning, it was BT day. Superfast broadband was on its way. I opened the door to the BT man. It's been months since this all began. I had boxes and cables all ready to start. I stood waiting to play my part, but all done, he said. It's now up to you. It's easy to set up. Just follow the rules. And with that, he said goodbye. Well, I opened the boxes and looked at the cables, which goes where, flashing orange or green, is the password there. And after hours of scratching my head, success, I fitted all as said. But my phone would not connect. So I looked at this eye in the corner of the room with its defiant blue light sliding back and forth. Yes, I'm working, it said, but not for you, without a fight, good and true. So I girded my loins and I phoned BT. And I found I got through to Dundee. Try this password, hen, and it should work, and have a nice day. But no Wi-Fi. So I phoned BT, and Newcastle answered. Is it flashing orange or blue? Try the spurt, love. It should work. And have a nice day. But no Wi-Fi. So I phoned BT and Belfast answered. Ireland here, have no fear. Try this password, my dear. It should work. And have a nice day. But no Wi-Fi. So I stare at this eye in the corner of the room with its flashing blue light sliding back and forth. So you think you've won? Well, I've news for you. I'll find the password to unlock the Wi-Fi that you refuse. So I phoned BT in outer space, and the voice from the heaven replied, have no fear, my child. We'll send you another. You've been punished enough. You need time to recover. Well, this one works. I've got Wi-Fi at last. I'm connected now, full and fast. So I look at the eye, now in a box. I'm sending you back to your demise. Your password is wrong and you knew all along. No longer will you taunt me with your evil eye. Your transport is here. Goodbye.
Brilliant, Jan.
That's brilliant, Jan. Very
Brilliant.
good.
That was absolutely brilliant.
Really good. I think we all feel for you. We've all been there.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many blues songs start. I woke up this morning.
That's right. I thought that one and I woke up.
Very
this
good.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely, Jan. Thank you. It's a very good poem. Heather, are you ready for us, please?
I think Jan missed out the bit where BT says, right, turn it off, count to 10. Ooh. Right, I have two, but I'll read the second one in the second half. Okay, this first one I'll read. This one's called Ode to the Wise Crone. Look, but don't judge the passing of time. For time is not guilty of ill or no crime. The wrinkle you touch is mere passing of age, an age of loves won and of wars that were waged. The bulge in her belly is like a blot on the land, or a mole on the earth, or a pebble in hand. The white in her hair is like a map in the sand, reminding you that this journey was planned. Love this strange creature naked before you. She's but a star in this play with its non-ending story. That's it.
That was beautiful.
That's lovely, yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Wow.
You're gathering admirers here, Heather. Well done.
Yeah, well, beautiful, Heather.
It's lovely. Yeah,
Nice one.
right. Now we're going to move on to Norman.
Can you hear me, George?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone. Right, I'm going to read a short St. Patrick's Day, 17th. Yeah, so I'm going to read a short Seamus Heaney, and it's quite tragic actually. But the very last line, it's just unbelievable. Of this poem. I guess most people will know it. He recounts how his little brother was unfortunately run off, I think, the school bus round the back, and he was trying to cross the road to get home. He was knocked down and killed. He was only 4. So it's a tragic subject, but this is Heaney's recount. It's called Midterm Break. I sat all morning in the college sick bay, counting bells, nailing glasses to a close. At 2 o'clock, our neighbours drove me home. In the porch, I met my father crying. He'd always taken funerals in his stride, and big Jim Evans saying it was a hard blow. The baby cooed and laughed and rocked the pram when I came in, and I was embarrassed by old men standing up to shake my hand and tell me they were sorry for my trouble. Whispers informed strangers I was the eldest, away at school as my mother held my hand in hers and coughed out angry, tearless sighs. At 10 o'clock, the ambulance arrived with the corpse, staunched and bandaged by the nurses. Next morning, I went up into the room. Snowdrops and candles soothed the bedside. I saw him for the first time in 6 weeks, paler now, wearing a poppy bruise on his left temple. He lay in the 4-foot box as in his cot. No gaudy scars. The bumper knocked him clear. A 4-foot box, a foot for every year. I mean, how's that for a last line? Tragedy.
Absolutely. Well
Right.
read, Norman.
Yeah, I missed time one bit, but never mind. Right, I've this is a new one for myself, but it's an age-old subject. If Anne was on, she'd probably say this is a rant, but it's about the haves and the have-nots in our society, and the desperation.
Yeah.
I'm not defending everybody, but the desperation that some folks get into. The spooky thing about this poem is that it's called Small Town Life. And the events all take place in a small town, about 3-4 miles from where I live. And I worked in that town just before COVID for about 5 years. And all the events actually took place. I witnessed most of them myself. So here it goes. Small town life. It appears the system is broken, but the politicians have spoken. They say they're going to fix it, but the folks just aim to mix it. Just an ordinary high street hairdresser where the clientele are young and trendy. Behind the scenes, the dudes are phony. They peddle drugs and launder money. The food store sells steaks of all kind. On Friday afternoon, the gypsy girls you will find sent down from their campsite stronghold by their bronzed and bruised elder brothers to steal the steaks, then share with family and lovers. It appears the system is broken, but the politicians have spoken. They say they're going to fix it, but the folks just aim to mix it. All the private schools are stocked and full with foreign students on the pool for a better education at a premium price. And the working class continues to work hard for a slice. The jeweler's alarmed front door succumbs to the axe of black helmet robbers who grab a few watches and diamond rings and make their escape riding shotgun on the back of mopeds and thus on the run, hoping they can trade on the black market, another criminal source that the police will target. It appears the system is broken, but the politicians have spoken. They say they're going to fix it, but the folks just aim to mix it. The all-day breakfast cafe welcomes the old weather-beaten lady who lives out of a faded, torn carrier bags. She prays each day that maybe, just maybe, her life will take a turn for the better. And for all the folks that have spoken and met her, she brightens their day as the weather gets wetter with stories of how she danced on the stage in London's West End once, earning a good wage. Now she replenishes her hunger and thirst with a free mug of tea and a bacon roll from the waitress who thinks life cannot get worse and takes pity on a poor soul and an empty purse. A charity volunteer stands on the corner asking for money to help the homeless. He stands next to the bank, which was ram-raided last night by a gang with a JCB, who then took flight. They carted the card cash machine to pastures new to open it up with their metalwork crew. It appears the system is broken, but the politicians have spoken. They say they're going to fix it, but the folks just aim to mix it. When all is quiet in the middle of the night, owners of a fashion boutique receive a fright. They are robbed of overpriced suits and clothing, but insurance will cover the cost, partly consoling. Then lunchtime one day in a gent's menswear, a presentable gent keeps the assistant engaged, whilst his partner in crime grabs a coat and runs down the high street, leaving the owners to take stock and replete. It appears the system is broken, but the politicians have spoken. They say they're going to fix it, but the folks just aim to mix it. The church bells ring out to announce the appearance of a pretty young bride in a vision of white. With happiness and hope in her eyes, her onlookers call out their good luck cries. All the while, an old tailor stands in his doorway, observing the folks as they pass by on the street. As a teenager, he left Sicily for this promised land, and now he wonders if he can make ends meet. It appears the system is broken, but the politicians have spoken. They say they're going to fix it, but the folks just aim to mix it. Thank you, George.
Well, thank you, Norman. It's amazing how you kind of chronicle everyday life. But poetry is amazing at doing that, and you do it very well. So thank you. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are we up to? It looks like it's where are we, Norman? Vivian.
Yep, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny Norman doing the Seamus Heaney one, because I was going to do a Seamus Heaney, but I decided on a W.B. Yeats poem, because he was an Irish poet, I believe. So I've got that one and one of my own, which is a short one. The song of I'm doing the Song of the Wandering Angus by W.B. Yeats. I went out to the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame, but something rustled on the floor, and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name and ran, and faded through the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, I will find out where she has gone, and kiss her lips and take her hands, and walk among long dappled grass, and pluck till time and times are done the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. I love that poem. I don't know why, I just like it. I think you probably like it as well, George. It's very got lots of nature in it, so that's why I like it. The other poem I'm going to read is one I only did a couple of weeks ago. It's for one of my other groups. I've called it Inside Out. Feels like my head is inside out. My brain is going mad. It wants to slow down, be relaxed, but none of that to be had. I rush around to get jobs done. I'm running out of time. The clock is running faster now, though a massage would be sublime. I finish my jobs, collapse in a heap. I'm exhausted, there's no mistake. But here comes something to perk me up. Someone bringing me tea and cake. Thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lovely. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
you read the W.B. Yeats beautifully. It's
Thank
really
you.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're moving on to Martin now. Good evening, Martin.
Evening, George.
Evening.
Right, I haven't done anything special for St. Paddy's Day, so there's three relatively recent ones of mine. suppose I should put my glasses on. This one is called On the Threshold, 30th of December 2019, and it's a sonnet. Within 2 days, a new year, new decade. Will the 20s roar or simply whimper? Experience teaches one that bright hopes fade, so wilder optimism we must temper. Frail, the fabric of this world is frayed. Doomsayers lecture us, the cheerful simper. Who knows which laws now will be obeyed? Can any still resist the subtle tempter? Prognostication's not a proper art for humans. Who can see beyond today? Secret workings of the darker heart defy description. Few are left to pray. Days and years will gradually unfold. Stand up, step forward, and be bold. This one is a Beethoven enigma, and the epigraph is in German. My German's not very good, but it says, Muss es sein, es muss sein. Must it be, it must be. And these words are written at the top of the autographed copy of the last movement of his last string quartet, Opus 135, which was his last major work. So, Beethoven enigma. Ah, Ludwig, how can we truly know you? Such a complex character of modern euphemism. Although so much would vex you, quickly stir your ire. Friends were tolerant or left. Chaotic life, poor health, anxiety and debts. But oh, the music, subtle, deft, that stirring human depths. Fertility of inspiration. What was it that must be? Your tragic deafness, gaucherie, failed love affairs? Never the toast of society. One final mystery remains, 2 centuries after your demise. Do your works hold the key beyond surmise? And this one is Waiting. If life is a race, the human race, some of us have heard the bell. Our final lap is underway. Each bears still the lived-in face, derived from that which, fit and well, looked for many a shining day of endless youth. Alas, that life's often disappoints such hopes. In a world where joy and pain are interwoven, time's a thief. Some giant pins us to the ropes, and scars about the heart remain. Are we downhearted? Yes, we are, as all our faculties decline, feeling we do not belong in this tumultuous age, so far from comfort. Nostalgia for the wine of youth when we were young and strong. Thank you.
You always manage to hit the spot with your poems, Martin. Thank you. Very nice. You're a classy poet. Now we've got Steve. Steve, how you doing?
Is it me, George? Me?
Yeah,
Steve?
yes, yes, please, Steve. Yeah.
Sorry.
Through that loud and clear.
I'm fine, thank you, George. Thank
Good.
you. This one is called Nature. I love nature and what it brings. The driest spring with birds whistling things. The daffodils in the ground have now appeared, while the ducks in the ponds are here today. The sun breaks through as spring hits us. The bitter nights are going away from us. Nature buzzing along with its natural flow as the people take off their winter coats we know now. So as this season awakening its new order, let's give God praise and love him forever. And this one is called The Unruly Delinquent. There they are with nuisance behavior, like an out of control car. They meet up in gangs like it's a roll call, and their intimidation hits you like a ray from the sky. This disorderly behavior and bad manner is like something. It's like something is a an elusive fish in your hands. They see you with their beckoning eyes, with no thoughts of good, so you disappear from their presence and seek a better retreat. The unruly delinquent has taken the land. Please be aware of your animosity, to neither be beside them. So there you are, free from what is not your environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Very good. I like that little metaphor. It's like an unruly fish in your hands. You're trying to grab hold of something and it's flipping around. That's very original. Like that one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, can we move over to Gordon now? Good evening, Gordon. You're still muted.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know a right lot about St. Patrick actually, but I do know a couple of things because I have actually visited his grave in Downpatrick Cathedral in Northern Ireland. That's one thing I know about him, so I know where he's buried and I know what his grave looks like. It's got a huge boulder on the top, a huge boulder, and the one word Patrick. Making sure he doesn't get out of there, I'll tell you, it's that big.
Amazing.
And the other thing I know about him, believe it or not, he actually was English, and he was abducted by the Romans, carted off to Rome, sold as a slave, and then eventually he was ordered back this way and ended up in Ireland. That's about all I know about St. Patrick. Anyway, we've had politics and stuff like that, so I'll give you some politics. Democracy. The argument in Parliament is somewhat irrelevant to where we are today. It's a Punch and Judy chatterbox, all bollocks, 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 with nothing new to say. And sometimes, in awkward sitting, they get treated to a whipping to make sure they fit into the plot of the play. Mr. Speaker, what they do we will reverse with the money from your purse. And things will go from bad to worse in the same unusual way. Did you know, before or after? Bob like meerkats, but dafter. As with much recruiting laughter comes touche. Then we vote for this old circus, like a new ring, let a new ringmaster work us, which makes us daft as they are, recherche. But the way those clowns without an answer throw morsels into poverty to watch the powerless poor scrabble in the streets. That's my politics for tonight.
That's very good, Gordon. That's very good.
Well, I think we'd all go along with that one, Gordon. Well done. You know, this millionaire who gets his swimming pool heated for free while he's going to punish the people on benefits. Wonderful. Good poem.
I've got another one called Friendship. I'll just give you that if you don't mind.
Yeah, if you would, please, yeah.
Because I might have to go early.
Okay.
Okay. It's Friendship. On the lips of friendship. On the slip of the tongue, a friend may slip away. So I started learning French to keep the nightmare at bay of our words being outlawed for meaning what they say, and for being tricky devils skilled in double entendre. And the children will get you, though 40 years late, being schooled in this new swearing by Big Brother State, and you start to wear a gag or be sent off for correction, to a wake me up gulag till you've learned in a workshop to write truth propaganda.
Wow,
Very good. Very good.
amazing.
Well, you're a good poet, Gordon. Thank you. Thank you for that.
That was, of course, provoked by this business of if you like, Baudelarising Roald Dahl with taking out words like fat and weird out of his works. You know.
Yeah. Well, you have this ludicrous thing where fat is not so insulting as enormous.
Well,
I think
yeah,
I'd prefer to be called fat rather than enormous, but there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Gordon. Anyway,
You're welcome.
going to move on to Jim now. Good evening, Jim.
Hi. Yeah, sorry
Hi.
about coming in late. I'm a technocrat, so I just always seem to screw things up. The first poem is called Lovers and Mutual Friends. They fell in love with phantoms of themselves. Mere lust left friends, but this they found absurd. You know, in one another's all-consuming fires, like succubus and incubus, they brightly burned. And then they fled this dream they knew to be a dream. In such a way, their hearts remained intact, or so they thought. But they were unaware their citadels of self had been too fiercely cracked. So now they have to suffer good advice. Oh, come on now, no need to sigh and mope. Your cups are full, you're young, your stars will rise. Take up tennis, read books, enjoy some food and wine. They see a tiny girl fall down and cry. The smoke from laughing friends gets in their eyes. And the second poem is called Transmigration. Do ants dream as they scurry beneath the feet of passing giants or flee the genocidal sprays? Do they dream as they colonize, serve with due diligence, wage war and paralyze intransient foes with toxic bite? Do they dream as they swarm across leaves to pay homage to their queen? Do they have aspirations to evolve and then, who knows, sit side by side with our future heirs and talk about the complex nature of the universe? Or are they, as I have been told, mere biological machines without any discernible soul, whose thoughts are of absolutely no concern in the busy and ever-changing world of cosmic happenstance? Or am I just another ant dreaming that I'm a man who is simply dreaming about the dreams of all his fellow ants? Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Lovely. Caring about the smallest things. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Jim. We haven't got Ted, but we do have Peter.
Right. Well, I'm going to read a Seamus Heaney poem.
Very good.
Called, it's the page. St. Kevin and the Blackbird. And then there was St. Kevin and the Blackbird. The saint is kneeling, arms outstretched inside his cell, but the cell is narrow, so one turned up palm is out the window, stiff as a crossbeam, when a blackbird lands and lays in it and settles down to nest. Kevin feels the warm eggs, the small breast, the tucked neat head and claws, and, finding himself linked into the network of eternal life, is moved to pity. Now he must hold his hand like a branch out in the sun and rain for weeks, until the young are hatched and fledged and flown. And since the whole thing's imagined anyhow, imagine being Kevin. Which is he, self-forgetful or in agony all the time, from the neck on out, down through his burning forearms? Are his fingers sleeping? Does he still feel his knees? Or has the shut-eyed blank of under-earth crept up through him? Is there distance in his head, alone and mirrored clear in love's deep river? To labour and not to seek reward he prays, a prayer his body makes entirely, for he has forgotten self, forgotten bird, and on the river bank forgotten the river's name. And there's another poem about a saint and a bird by Colette Bryce, another Irish saint. This is Asylum, Iona, which is after Edmund's account of St. Columba's prophecy of the heron. Should a guest blow in from the north of Ireland, buffeted by the wind, Should the shadow of a cross afloat on the water mirror the flight of a pilgrim guest, pitching an effortless course through the buffeting gusts this far from the north of Ireland? Should the pilgrim guest, whittled with hunger, depleted in reserves, lose altitude and collapse on the stones of your own small island, beaten and worn, stagger on the shingle, dragging magnificent wings like a cape, like an airman trailing his billowing silks? You must lift this creature and carry it, gathered in your arms over the field to the bothy, and there attend to its invalid needs for 3 consecutive days and nights, during which time it may huddle in a corner, throat retracted into its ruff, stern as a cleric, gimlet-eyed, yet gulping the silver herrings you proffer, like pills, gaining strength, getting well, till you walk with it back to the narrow beach on day 4, watch it take a run, and lift with the gawkiest of takeoffs, creaking beats of its great span, neck and bill extended like an arrow, pointing the route to my old homeland, which is why I am so solicitous of your kindness, rolling a line straight south to Malin Head and home, the sweet district of Ireland. So that's from Colette Bryce.
It's wonderful how on the Celtic fringe they preserve all their myths and honour them. We just forget them. Anyway, thank you, Peter. Lovely. I was feeling in a jagged kind of mood the other day, so I wrote I don't know if you can see, it's a jagged sort of poem that I'd need to. Don't lose it. I'd need to read it in a jagged sort of way. Try and do that. It's called Leaving the House. The cardboard boxes are being taped, filled with utensils and trinkets, mementos and memories, some bubble wrapped, and the books, some read, some not. So many words, so many precious pages. I can't abandon them in the same way I can't leave thoughts of you. They saw me through the silent time when conversation was no longer there. The house, now denuded of mirrors and pictures, is developing more echoes of footsteps, laboured breathing as I empty out our lives. That's for keeping. This is for the charity shop, and all that is stained or torn, or just simply old, that can go to the tip. Oftentimes, I dwell on the photographs. You were nearly always smiling, as if every day was full of joy. Perhaps it was exactly that. When we moved in, you found the estate agent blurb hilarious, saying our little house was built as a working class enclave. And I said, that would hardly suit your hyacinth bouquet personality, would it? There, 3 doors up, had a stone on the wall saying Oxford Cottages, built 1878. And you said, if so, why did they call this Cornwall Road then? And after our 2 decades and some here, you said your goodbye, and I still have the shiny photographs to carry with me to somewhere new. It's a good job our lives were mainly pre-digital, where ill thought out images disappear into the ether, and therefore I can retain that which will help me make my next journey less jagged. So that's my jagged poem. Anyway, cup of tea time. Cup of tea time, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Well, Seamus Heaney, Field of Vision. I remember this woman who sat for years in a wheelchair, looking straight ahead, out the window at sycamore trees, unleafing and leafing at the far end of the lane. Straight out past the TV in the corner, the stunted, agitated hawthorn bush, the same small calves with their backs to the wind and rain, the same acre of ragwort, the same mountain. She was steadfast as the big window itself. Her brow was clear as the chrome bits of the chair. She never lamented once, and she never carried a spare ounce of emotional weight. Face to face with her was an education of the sort you got across a well-braced gate, one of those lean, clean, iron roadside ones between two whitewashed pillars, where you could see deeper into the country than you expected, and discovered that the field behind the hedge grew more distinctly strange as you kept standing, focused and drawn in by what barred the way. Field of vision.
Nice one.
And for some of you on the call, I have read this before. One of my favorites, The Railway Children. I'm just waiting for George's reaction and Peter's. The Railway Children. When we climbed the slopes of the cutting, we were eye level with the white cups of the telegraph poles and the sizzling wires. Like lovely freehand, they carved for miles east and miles west beyond us, sagging under their burden of swallows. We were small and thought we knew nothing worth knowing. We thought words traveled the wires and the shiny pouches of raindrops, each one seeded full with the light of the sky, the gleam of the lines, and ourselves so infinitesimally scaled. We could stream through the eye of a needle. There we go. I've said it before, George. I've always got a problem. The infinitesimally. How do you pronounce it?
Infinitesimally.
Yeah.
Infinitesimally.
Yeah, infinitesimally. Oh my God. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not an easy word, but
Oh,
you read them very well, actually. Infinitesimally. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Infinitesimally.
Infinitesimally. Yeah. Not
Very
easy.
good.
I wouldn't include that in any poem if I was writing.
No, I was just thinking it was all going smoothly until he wrote that word.
Yes, I know. I know. He's written. The one I like is about his father digging, and he compares his father's skill with the spade with
Yeah.
with the pen. He's holding a pen, and his father could
Yeah.
dig with the spade.
Yeah, that's a famous one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Very good.
Have
Any
you
more
ever-
for us, Norman? Is that it for now? Or?
That's it for now. I just want to say
Okay.
that if you get the chance, it'll be out there in the ether somewhere. But there was a very, very good documentary a couple of years ago.
Right.
And Heaney's wife was interviewed. So it was a documentary, but she ran it basically.
Right.
And it was a great insight to his life and that. And it's definitely worth watching.
We might find it on. I'll look on YouTube, see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. Excellent. Thank you, Norman. Now, Martin, have you any of your little store of poems there, please, or your fast store?
Well, I'm going to read one by Richard Wilbur, which I've probably read before, and one of mine from the book, which is a Baudelaire. So that'll do. So this is the Richard Wilbur, and the title is Complaint. And there's an epigraph from somebody called Ficino. In reality, each love is that of the divine image, and each is pure. Why is it that whenever I talk with the Duchess, my belly growls and my nose waters? Why must it be my hand that tumbles her wineglass over into the Cellini salt dish? Stiff as a gaffer, fidgety as a child, after 20 years of struggling to be a courtier, I remain incapable of the least politeness, wit, song, or learning. And I wonder sometimes, what is it in me that hates me? Is it that rolling captain who should burst like surf into her presence, dumping down his pillage of the seas, and in a wink dissolve her castled pride? She scorns no common magic, and could be pleased to be manhandled like a kitchen girl, so it were sweet and reckless. Or is it that idolatrous fool that's in me, who, lest she alter, should enchant the hour with gentle sparrows and an aimless lute, enthralling her with tales of a king's daughter bound in mountain sleep, whose prince and wakener, detained by trials in desert steeps and grottos of the world, approaches her forever. Or am I spited by the priest I might be, there in the stone grove of her oratory? No ship sails out so free as she at prayer, with head bowed and shrouded, confessing her and my delight in her to the great ways and haven of her beauty. Would I not serve her better? Would not my hand be steady with the wine? Jackass, again you turn and turn this prism, whose every light is of the purest water. How shall I fathom her whose white hands fold the rainbow like a fan? O maiden muse and maiden, O my love, whose every moment is the quick of time. I am your bumbling servant now and ever, in this and the other kingdom. And this is a Baudelaire. It's one of his sonnets. Charles Baudelaire, French poet. The Venal Muse. Muse of my heart, lover of stone chateau, will you, when January's north winds blow, all through black boring evenings full of snow, to thaw your purple feet, have embers glow? Or warm your marbled shoulders back to life by moonlight striking through those frosty panes, feeling your purse as vacant as your veins, rayed where the vaulted heavens' gold is rife? To gain your nightly bread, there is a need for swinging censers like an altar boy, and sung Te Deums which are not your creed, or street performers showing off with joy, and laughter hiding tears. This must be done to give the idle crowd a bit of fun. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, guys? Hey, Martin,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you many times, Martin, and you're very well read. Did you, is it a hobby, literature, art, literature, etc.? Did you teach academically?
No. I was in laboratory work for the first few years of my career, studied chemistry. And then I ended up working in retail in a big store in Croydon. And most of my career was in furnishings. So I was basically a salesman.
Yeah. So
I studied sciences and wished I'd done more in the arts, but you know.
yeah. So your literature background or poetic background, it's hobby then, interest.
Yeah, a lot of reading
Mm.
and learning the craft. It didn't really start focusing on it till I was in my 40s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Richard Wilbur and Baudelaire are two of your big influences, aren't they? Because you often refer to them, and you know, actually, the Richard. I've got to quite like Richard Wilbur now through you. Thank you, Martin. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was the American Poet Laureate at one point, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he died in 2017, but he was writing well into his 90s.
Anyway, very good. Very good. Thank you, Martin. Now, dum. Oh, Heather. Heather, have you anything for us, please?
Yeah, I've got one of mine, small one,
Right.
another small one, and this one it's for senses know best. I spy. Sorry, I'm coming apart here. Right.
Like you do.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll start again. Senses know best. I spy with my little eye, a nose to sniff out a rat with a lie. I taste with my little tongue, a relish of rot to sully each bud. I touch with my little hand, an open gesture later slapping me down. I hear with my little ear, twisted anointings peddling in fear. Senses pure will never fail, will never pain or leave you to wail. All senses awakened, all polished with gleam, with all five now heightened, there lies your sixth. I spy with my little eye something beginning with, and that's it.
Oh, lovely, Heather. Thank you very much.
Can I say something, George, guys? This is a compliment, Heather,
Yeah.
right? I've heard you quite a few times. And
Okay.
you've got this brilliant ability to recite in a very calm manner.
Yeah.
You know, it's very calming. And I swear that if I was in an airliner 35,000 feet up and it was nose dive into the ground, you would keep me calm.
That's very true. Yeah, very soothing your voice, actually.
The moment you said airliner, I knew exactly what you. I hate
You read
flying.
beautifully. You read
Thank you.
beautifully.
Thank you.
Steve, have you got anything for us again, please?
Sure, George. This one's called She Says She Loves You. Knock,
Right.
knock. Where that... Sorry. Knock, knock. Who's that? Come in. Enter the room. She's beautiful and rare. Knock, knock. Who's there? Come in. Are we going out tonight? Knock, knock. Who's that? Come in. She falls for me and says, sorry, love, I still love you. Knock, knock. Come in. We hug each other in compassionate love, and there we are, totally adoring each other for this savory love.
Very good.
And this one's called St. Patrick's Day. Over the years, I have been to St. Patrick's Day celebration wearing my green shamrock. I can remember going to the Albany Theatre in Deptford, and it was a great evening, especially with all the Irish dancing. I used to drink in quite a few Irish pubs in the New Cross area when I used to live there. And I think that salmon was a traditional fish they used to have around this time. St. Patrick's Days were days I used to enjoy myself mingling with the Irish crowd. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Steve. That first love poem is very tender. It's always difficult to read a dialogue poem, you know, because you're doing voice and response, aren't you? It's like song and response.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that one, that first one. It's very simple, but very tender.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Patrick one was very good as well, very descriptive.
Thank you.
Can we try and roust out Jim? Jim, you're just a little blobby turned off. No, don't think we're going to get him. No, we'll try Peter then.
Right, I'm going to read another Seamus Heaney poem. Postscript. Oh, there's Jim. Anyway.
Oh, hey, Jim. Jim, you're muted. You're muted. Can you unmute, Jim?
Yeah.
Lovely,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm going for a bad patch, actually. I've got new spectacles, and I used to have varifocals where you could just having to change from one glass to another, and it's actually driving me mad. So I'm taking things out of one folder, and I'm having to sort out how to put them back again, and all that sort of thing. So it's like, you know, just driving me crazy. So I'm actually going to say good night, actually, and then I'll see you next time, definitely.
Okay, we have to pay attention to your spectacles at our age, you know, Jim.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for me. Yeah, nightmare. Yeah,
Take care, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Right. So that brings us up to Peter then.
Right. Seamus Heaney again. Postscript. And sometime make the time to drive out west into County Clare along the flaggy shore in September or October, when the wind and the light are working off each other, so that the ocean on one side is wild with foam and glitter, And inland among stones, the surface of a slate grey lake is lit by the earth lightning of a flock of swans, their feathers ruffed and ruffling, white on white, their fully grown headstrong looking heads tucked or cresting or busy underwater. Useless to think your park and capture it more thoroughly. You are neither here nor there, a hurry through which known and strange things pass, as big soft buffetings come at the car sideways and catch the heart off guard and blow it open. That was Seamus Heaney. And today, besides being St. Patrick's Day, is also St. Gertrude of Nivelle's Day, who is the patron saint of cats. So I'm going to read a poem about an Irish cat, Pangal Ban. I and Pangal Ban, my cat, 'tis a like task we are at, hunting mice is his delight, hunting words I sit all night. Better far than praise of men 'tis to sit with book and pen. Pango bears me no ill will, he too plies his simple skill. 'Tis a merry thing to see at our tasks how glad are we, when at home we sit and find entertainment to our mind. Oftentimes a mouse will stray in the hero Panga's way. Oftentimes my keen thought set takes a meaning in its net. 'Gainst the wall he sets his eye, full and fierce and sharp and sly. 'Gainst the wall of knowledge I all my little wisdom try. When a mouse darts from its den, oh how glad is Panga then. Oh what gladness do I prove when I solve the doubts I love. So in peace our tasks we ply, Pango Ban, my cat, and I. In our arts we find our bliss, I have mine and he has his. Practice every day has made Panga perfect in his trade. I get wisdom day and night, turning darkness into light. That's an anonymous 8th century Irish poem.
I was going to ask.
Translated.
I was going to ask who wrote it, but it's anonymous.
Yes.
Yeah, so much better than T.S. Eliot even.
Yeah.
Very good.
I hate when you come across something brilliant and it's anonymous.
Yeah,
What a no.
But it is from the 8th century, so that's a long time.
You reckon there's a patron saint for everything?
Yes, there is.
Okay, this is a little poem I wrote the other day. It's called A Family Thought. I remember my father, a figure receding in the distance down the corridor of time. I have some of his features, but he grew older much before I did, not so nurtured, living in harder times when real men didn't show pain or present themselves for treatment. Now I wish he had done both to enable a more mature me to communicate. Yeah.
Wow.
We sometimes lose people before we're ready, don't we? This is quite an old one, but I think the kind of references are still around, unfortunately. It's called Some Requests. Please let me feel free to criticize the robbery of land on the west bank of the Jordan without calling me anti-Semitic. Please let me be free to condemn the genocide of the Rohingyas without considering me anti-Buddhist. Please let me feel free to stand against the theft of the Crimea and not call me anti-Russian. Please let me be free to say don't sell arms for slaughter in Sana'a without being labelled pacifist. Please let me feel free to continue being a European without being called a Remona. Please let me be free to carry on loathing those who build walls to insulate wealth without calling me a commie. Please let me feel free to vomit over stoning and beheading those with different beliefs without calling me an unbeliever. Please let me be free to condemn leaders taking us in wrong directions without calling me an anarchist. But most of all, please let suffering people be free. Right.
Very good, George.
That's it then, folks.
Nice one.
Sorry, George, was that one of your own?
Yes.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, it's a
It
bit
sounds
dated,
like
but
sounds like one of those timeless poems are like those like footprints in the sand
Yeah.
or they came for the communists and they came for the Jews.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote that. I think Norman, I think that's another Anon. But
Pastor Louis Nemere or something.
somebody wrote
First
that.
they
Okay.
came for the
Yeah.
The
It sounds
frightening
like, sounds like one of those poems. Somebody else wrote it. Oh wow, from
Yeah.
eons ago. Brilliant.
Well, I was very influenced by a chap called Adrian Mitchell, who used to write for The Guardian a lot. And he wrote a lot of poems like that. He wrote an anti-war poem about Vietnam. So I kind of like that style of poetry.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things haven't changed, really. It's
No.
frightening, you know.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately not. Martin's muted. I was hoping he'd join in the conversation with us.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hello, Martin.
Hello, George.
So yeah, this is my last physical presence in Croydon, very possibly. But I'll communicate from up north on my daughter's internet, all being well. It worked. It has worked in the past, so I should be okay.
Well, I plan to be there on the next Saturday, George.